Hello and welcome to Hardin Life Live. We are the Hardins and we are a family of coaches and counselors, and we love taking 10 minutes with you every week and hopefully giving you some tips to help you live the best life you can. And we really had a great month focusing on youth and looking at the different components of who they are. We looked physically last week with Rebecca on health and nutrition, and Clay started our month looking at the spiritual roots that we need to be building into our children. But I'm really excited this morning because Emily is going to bring for us that emotional circle. And we all know our kids have emotions when they fall out and they're losing it. But a lot of times we don't know how to understand. How do we nurture this in a healthy way? And I love, Emily, that in your blog, you talk about emotional IQ. And so help bring us up to speed on what is emotional IQ and sort of how you see that fitting in as important to child development. And then we're going to love hearing some tips on how to do it.
Okay, so emotional IQ is just basically a person's ability to understand their own emotions, be able to name their own emotions, be able to understand the reactions that they might be having to emotions, and recognize that they are a normal and healthy part of life.
Good.
And also that there aren't really good emotions or bad emotions. There's just emotions. And then how we choose to react to those is also a big part of our emotional intelligence.
That is such a simple and clear way of emotional awareness. And a lot of times our kids are acting out because they don't know what their emotions are about. And I have used the expression, whether it's, accurate or not, I like to say that our emotions are the tattletales of reality. They're trying to tell you and I what is really happening and what the need is. And so, a lot of times we get annoyed by tattletales, but usually they've got a really good point to make.
Right. Yeah, so I think so many kids, the way that they react to their emotions can be really annoying and can be really frustrating for parents. But when you really are a behavior detective and you get to the root of what's going on underneath that emotion, there's almost always some sort of reaction taking place to an emotion that we can all relate to. So
that's good.
Even when a child is having a tantrum, or maybe they're whining because they didn't get their way, we can all relate to how it feels not to get instant gratification, not to get what we want. That's something that is pretty universal. And there are many times where I feel like I'm having a tantrum inside. I just choose not to show it outside.
That is so good. That's the difference, hopefully, in adults and children, is containment.
Yes.
It's like, no, we get you. It's just we are reining it in. We are reining it in. Well, I love, Emily, and I know in your practice you work, with children 9 to 5, so to speak, and you see the legitimate piece. And then you've got to work with their parents, and you've got to give them practical tips and how to help them know how to navigate. If we only had a couple of practical tips that you would say, man, try these things, I think it's going to help, what would you give our audience?
So I would say probably one of the most important ones is to be aware of which particular reactions in your children tend to be triggers that are going to completely just kind of get you off of your place of being logical and centered and being able to approach it in a really teaching way rather than a reactive way. Because we all have certain ones that we can tolerate better than others.
Yes.
And certain behaviors that just really push our buttons and really cause us to parent in a reactive way rather than in a proactive way. So the first thing is gain some self-awareness over your triggers. And, also what reaction that produces in you.
Well, it makes so much sense that you're saying that because we know I can't develop my child's emotional intelligence
Mm-hmm.
when mine is out the window.
Right.
And if I'm in a reactive zone, I'm missing an opportunity. So it's like if I'm triggered by whining, a lot of parents are. I want to recognize that crying is a protest for an unmet need.
Mm-hmm.
So I love the behavioral detective, or what is the unmet need? And so if I can almost see myself shift and put that hat on, then that helps govern my emotions. Like, oh, this is a legitimate need. Let me help discern that so that I stay in my skin and I'm not reactive. Well, that's a great one. Do you have another one for us?
Yeah. So, I think so many times the most common thing for us as parents, and really just for people in general, is that when we see somebody hurting, we have this instinct to try to fix the problem.
Oh, that's mine. That's mine. Okay.
Yeah, right. And especially when we see our kids doing something that we know, like, this could be so easily resolved. If they could just see it the way that we see it, everything would be so much better. And in a sense, yes, that you're not wrong.
Right.
But then on the other hand, the thing that really calms a person when they're feeling upset is validation. Being seen and heard is what really helps them kind of begin to gather their themselves back together and contain that again, so that they can then listen in a logical way. So not every moment has to be a teaching moment right away. There's definitely something to be said for saying, Carla, I see that you're not feeling well today because you are really, really giving me a hard time about brushing your teeth. And I understand. I know I don't like getting ready in the mornings either. And it's just really frustrating, isn't it?
It is, because I'm tired and I don't want to. And why can I not?
I know. I feel the same way. Now, I'll go with you and let's go brush your teeth together.
Okay. I felt better. Okay.
I wish it were always that easy. And it's not usually that easy, right? And we know this. But at the same time, when we're talking about building emotional intelligence in children, we have to be willing to give names to the feelings that we see them experiencing.
That's so good.
Because they don't have the words to do that, especially the younger they are. But even a lot of adults that that we work with, we don't have the words, right? So if you're one of the people that struggles to find the words for exactly the emotion that you're feeling, don't be afraid to print out a list of feeling words and begin to do it yourself out loud when you're feeling really frustrated, when you are feeling really exasperated, or, kind of just, I don't know, maybe just sort of, I don't want to say depressed, but maybe just a little disappointed or whatever it is.
Well, I love, and Emily's right, you can Google feeling word charts, and some of them even have cool little pictures, and that could be a fun activity with your child for the younger children to go, I think I'm feeling that one, and they're going, no, you're feeling that one, and sort of opens up that discussion. But I think, what Emily's training and point, and so valuable that I hope we all hear, is that emotions are a God-given design. This is not something you just want to control and push under. Jesus and God, if you look through the whole Bible, were extremely clear on expressing emotion, and it was obvious it wasn't considered wrong. But I love seeing he was disappointed, frustrated, alone, all the things that we know we have felt. So we want to learn as believing families that this is a legitimate part of God's design in our child. We need to quit holding our breath, just hoping it sort of calms down, and see if we can steer the boat. So we are out of time, but I want to encourage you, don't miss Emily's blog at www.hardinlife.com, and we'll look forward to continuing our next week on our youth. Y'all have a great day. Bye-bye.